I think this is horrific. The idea that we have unmarked paramilitary troops at the federal level violating the Constitution and also violating our rule of law that is supposed to protect citizens, especially in a circumstance where they are exercising their First Amendment rights.
Whoa, ho, ho, look who we have here. Hasan Piker, nephew of Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks, and noted communist, socialist, Marxist, total radical leftist, streamer, idiot, he's all sorts of things, but sensical, does he make sense? Commonsensical? Not at all. So this is an old clip, but I pulled it up because why else? It's talking about my hometown, Portland, Oregon, which I haven't lived in since before I went to college. That was many, many years ago, since the early 1980s. But this is 4 years ago when there were riots in Portland, in the summer of love following the death of George Floyd by a drug overdose while in police custody. And of course, BLM launched riots all across America, and Portland, which has, of course, descended into a libtard, wokist, leftist hellhole. Wasn't like that when I was growing up, but it's like that now. Anyway, Portland saw a lot of violence, and the federal government deployed federal troops to help quell the violence. And of course, Hasan Piker, as he just said it was outrageous that these federal troops were being deployed because it was they were violating the human rights of people to protest. Or yeah, people have the right to protest, but they don't have the right to trash federal buildings or light them on fire, which was what was happening. We just saw footage. So anyway, he's debating Michael Knowles here, of the Daily Wire, and the guy hosting the debate is called Alex Michelson. Let's see whose points of view stand up to the test of time better 4 years later. Let's get back to where this bit of the clip started. Excuse me for my lack of professionality here. Okay.
It's like Oakland.
But to put down an insurrection, absolutely, we do need to get federal officials here. I mean, this is part of what the DHS was founded to do, was to protect federal property, and they were assailing this federal courthouse. But also, our very Constitution is sort of based on this kind of thing. This goes all the way back to 1787, Shays' Rebellion. The criticism of the Articles of Confederation is that they didn't give the federal government sufficient power to put down an insurgency. That is in large part why we got the Constitutional Convention. This is very much in keeping with American politics and American history, and I hope that we can put down the insurgency and restore some order on our streets.
If you were playing the drinking game for the issue is, and you had Shays' Rebellion, take a shot now.
That's kind of funny, actually. I don't even remember Shays' Rebellion from school.
Hasan, let's go to your response to these scenes.
I think this is horrific. The idea that we have unmarked paramilitary troops at the federal level violating the Constitution and also violating our rule of law that is supposed to protect citizens, especially in a circumstance where they are exercising their First Amendment rights, is disgusting, but also expected from the Trump administration. I think Trump is scrambling to win as many people as he possibly can because everyone is hyper-focused currently on the ongoing devastating pandemic, which has taken more than 130,000 lives. So what he is trying to do in an effort to capture his withering base of support is to put down the boot of law, I guess, to enforce this law and order on largely democratic cities. It's a pure...
Yeah, largely democratic cities, which amazingly have turned into shitholes. Wow. It's amazing how that works out. Once prosperous cities been just led into hell by leftist policies.
Purely political spectacle. It has devastating, absolutely devastating precedents that it's setting. And I am shocked that libertarians who stand proudly against tyranny are not out in the streets also protesting alongside the moms and leaving it up to the moms and dads of Portland to push back against tyrannical government overreach. And
to protest against tyranny? What about the tyranny of the Antifa mob? What about the tyranny of the BLM mob, who went on a rampage in the summer of love of 2020 and destroyed destroyed city centers in various cities across the country. What about that tyranny, Hasan Piker? Yes, when people are doing that, when rioters and agitators and Antifa, Marxist, communist Antifa types who just want to tear everything down and watch the world burn, when they're doing that, yeah, the response has to be strong. It has to be tough. Obviously, Hasan Piker. He's talking from his. I'm just looking at the background of his apartment there. It screams a certain type. I won't go into detail. But, he's talking about a champagne socialist or a champagne communist, for that matter. The guy calls himself, that's how he's defined himself. Maybe he calls himself a libertarian too. But if anything were to happen to him, the first thing he would do would be to get on the phone and call the cops in. If ever he were attacked in the street by violent thugs trying to destroy things. If they did something to him, he would be calling the cops. He would be calling the toxic white men with weapons to come in and protect him. None of their ideology stands up to even the slightest brush with reality.
Form of a police state.
Well, it should go without saying. Just one point on this, Alex. It should go without saying that burning down federal courthouses is not a legitimate exercise of one's First Amendment rights. But I would like to correct one thing that Hasan said here, which is that the troops are unmarked. The federal officials are unmarked. That is not true. They're wearing uniforms. The uniforms clearly say what agency they're a part of. And actually, the uniforms identify the agent numbers right above the label that says DHS. So they are very well labeled. And it would be, I know that sometimes the Antifa troops are also wearing uniforms, but I think it's pretty clear who's working for DHS.
The Antifa, yeah, of course, they're out wearing their black with their mask on. Oh, and remember, this is also when you have to wear masks. And who was it? Was it the CDC that said somebody or a bunch of senior medical experts signed a letter saying that, it was okay to protest. It was okay for people to be together and agree. I mean, remember, back in the height of the pandemic, so everyone was supposed to maintain a distance of 6 feet, 2 meters between each other for social distancing in order to stop the spread of the virus. But they said in this letter, this open letter, that it was okay to protest, especially to protest, for Black Lives Matter, because somehow, I can't remember the tortured logic they used, but it was absolutely ridiculous. Somehow that was okay and that was healthy. That was, protesting for that reason was healthy, but protesting for any other reason was very unhealthy and had to be stopped.
I think that we've seen enough, and not only that, but there's literal legislation being pushed forward in Congress currently to make sure that there's actual patches. As a matter of fact, police routinely hide their badge numbers and identifiers when they're working inside of their own local jurisdictions, but to see federal agents originally go in this way, like they did in Washington, D.C., and now in Portland and potentially in Chicago as well, is truly devastating. Just like you mentioned, there is absolutely no way to tell between a federal agent and a boogaloo boy, for example, or an alt.
What? No, just the opposite. Hasan Piker obviously can't into facts and reason. So yes, it's very perfectly possible to tell the difference between a federal agent and a boogaloo boy, or an Antifa, a skinny fat soy boy Antifa activist. No problem at all. Anyway, let me know what you think about this blast from the past. I have a feeling that if we continued in this interview, we would see that Hasan Piker's views have not stood the test of time at all, especially since Donald Trump was just reelected. And Hasan was saying that Donald Trump's base of support was withering away. Yeah, I don't think so, Hasan Piker, but it's always good to check in on these idiots and see, what they were saying in the past, because they always change what they said. Oh, I never said that. I said this. So it's always good to see. God knows what Hasan Piker's saying these days. I try to stay away from him as far as possible, but I'm sure he'll come up in one of my videos soon enough, because these kind of guys, that's what they live for. They live to make themselves known. Anyway, let me know what you think about that in the comments. I've been reading all the comments recently, been replying to quite a few. And like and subscribe really helps me grow the channel and continue making content for you.